Ocala. Game 96.3 FM, The Source.
Jim George is in the studio. We're going to talk to Jim about things. Period. We're just going to talk to Jim about things. If you have a question about some of the things that Jim is an expert on, you are definitely welcome to call. The number is 622-9622. As it is with a lot of the segments we do here, we go on a lot of tangents, but we always want to make sure that you know that the focal point of the show, at least the original focal point, is always there for you. If you have a question about what's going on with your cable, how to maybe reduce the price, how to get certain channels that you don't get, what the heck is Roku, any questions like that, and will an antenna be better than cable, that kind of question. How to maybe put more than one TV in your house when you only pay for one. I don't even know if those rules still exist. The number is 622-9622. Jim will be able to answer all those questions. Go on, Jim. How you doing?
Good morning. Fine, thank you.
So, that is a question I don't know. Can you?
You can put more than one, yeah. But
so there's no rules? Didn't there used to be rules?
Yeah, but what they've done is they've scrambled the picture. They've turned it digital. And so, therefore, you must have a box to receive it.
Oh, so you can't just put a doubler or something?
Yeah, like a splitter now.
And if you did, what would happen? Both TVs wouldn't work?
Okay, so if you have a box on a wall and behind the wall is your bedroom, let's say, but the box is in the living room, you could put a two-way splitter there and feed both of them, but it would not be a coaxial splitter. It would be an HDMI type splitter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they're inexpensive.
And is that breaking the rules or the law or anything?
No, they only charge you per box.
Oh, okay.
Oh, actually, are per home. I don't think, and the boxes rent for like $5, so it's not exuberant.
So I'm guessing the best way to do it would simply be to say, like to you, for example, we would love to have a TV in the bedroom. How do I do this? And you would either explain it or come and do it for them, right?
Right. So the HDMI splitter, though, is the easy way. They can do that themselves. Just put a hole through the wall. And basically a lot of times the TV jacks are back to back anyway. The living room backs up to the bedroom one and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
it's the easy way to do it.
Yeah.
So I read an interesting article in the Tech magazine, the NASA Tech Briefs. So NASA now has an experimental car that flies. So it's got flaps on the side, and they push a little button or a lever or something, and the little wings come out.
Flaps.
It's electric powered, and it's only made for, they say, long distances because it takes so long for it to set itself up to fly from being in a car position, and by so long it's like 5 minutes, that you don't want to just get in it and drive and fly 2 miles and stop.
Right.
You really want to, if you want to go to Miami, that would be different, but it doesn't average that much speed right now. It averages about 70 miles an hour, which means you can do that on the turnpike.
Yeah, but there's no traffic.
It's, right.
No traffic lights.
Right, and you can cut corners. In other words, you don't have to
straight
follow
line.
the road.
Yeah.
You can just go from point A to point B. And it's got batteries in it, of course, but it's also solar powered. And what they're working on right now is a hydrogen fuel cell to power it. But every time you add something, it adds weight, which means the wings got to be a little bigger. Everything's got to change. But they say it does work, and they are flying it at, I think it's Huntsville, Texas, or wherever the NASA other headquarters is.
So I have a question that's probably dumb to people in your league, but this is my question. If you were to use a GPS and you're not using the roads, would the GPS lady say, just keep going straight?
No, I'm afraid not. She operates by the roads.
Oh, really? So the airplane would fly?
So the airplane uses things like LORAN, and the people who listen know a lot more than I do, but it's a beacon. And they hone in on the beacon.
So it wouldn't just follow.
So you would have to get a device that would hone in on a beacon.
Okay.
So you could fly from airport here to airport in Orlando.
See, that's how little I know about that.
Yeah.
So how about the weight of the humans then? Is there a weight capacity?
It didn't mention that as such at this time. As a matter of fact, I think it's unmanned right now because they don't want to kill anybody trying to test this thing.
Right.
But they were saying that they're going to double the battery capacity and double the size of the wings and see just how fast it can go and how far it can go. But, we're so used to combustion engines that push. I don't know how a fan type electric one even works. So maybe that's why they're going to hydrogen fuel cells.
Does it need a runway or does it land vertically?
It does need a runway, but it did not say how long it needed. It was just a little tick. I'm sure as the months roll on, there'll be an article coming out on it, something you'll even report on. It says NASA's here to report that flying cars are no longer a thing of the future. They're happening as we speak, but it might be 3 to 5 years before anybody can own one.
That's pretty soon, though. And what was the thing we saw about Amazon going to deliver packages within a month or two? Yeah.
With drones.
Even the personal copters, Sikorsky says that they're inventing a drone. They have it already, but they're perfecting a drone that it will carry a person.
Oh my gosh.
It has a little cockpit such, and you sit in it, and it takes you up and land. And of course, it's silent, right? Just going to push you up.
It's just a buzz.
That's it.
So it's different.
Well, everybody gets a buzz.
So it's an improvement on the ultralights then, where you see one person sitting in there and then they
got the big fan
fly.
behind you. Yeah. You got to get a running start.
You're right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for some phone calls?
Sure, why not?
If you would like to call, the number is 622-9622. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim.
Good morning, Jim. This is Sonny calling. The Garmin makes what they call maps and marine maps for boats, and I looked at one the other day, and it replicates the actual chart, but it constantly shows your position on that chart or electronic chart, and basically it gives you everything you need to know to either stay in the channel or stay in navigable waters or avoid the shallows, etc. And the nice thing about that is if it gets foggy out, that Garmin still works. The only thing is you got to hope you got enough visibility to avoid something that could be, driftwood or something.
Yeah.
Or another boat. And then that applies also to aircraft. Because it was funny thing, I was sitting in the doctor's office and they had an aviation magazine there, and they have that whole thing that goes into the instrument panel on the plane, and it does the same thing. It shows like more or less a map and the various instruments, readings, and everything else that you need to navigate. So it's an amazing world out there as long as you keep your batteries going. But I don't know what, it's really interesting as far as I know. And the other day I had to go way over to west of Dunellen. And it's beautiful over there as far as country goes, but it's nice to have that Garmin to tell you how far you got to go before you got to make a right turn or a left turn, or when you're coming up on your location that you want to go to. And so I use my Garmin a lot. But anyway, it's an interesting world we live in. And enjoy the longest day of the year. Have a great day, everybody. Have a good weekend. And thank you, Mr. George, for what you're doing, showing up on the air. And thank you, WOCA, Larry, Robin, and Joe, for putting these interesting programs to work for us. Have a great day.
That was nice. Sorry. It was nice to say. Thank you, son.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, on the waterways one, I knew about that. Martin Suter, one of my techs, as you said, was in here one day picking up something. And
he's a nice guy, too.
And we went over to Boodle Bay in the Bahamas, and we did it with a little handheld Merlin that took us straight from point A to point B.
Really?
But I'm sure you can get software, but what I was speaking about when you said the Garmin was the one that either comes with your car or one that you buy that can attach to your car. But, you can buy an app for almost anything. So I'm sure you could get an app for your cell phone that would, do that. But the idea is if you're 15,000 feet in the air, I don't know if the cell phone would work or not,
I don't know. I never tried that. But I did try it on the train. When we took that train ride, we had the app, and it showed me exactly where we were.
There you go.
I suppose we're close enough to Because when you're on a train, you don't know. I mean, there's no. You
Don't know what city are we in. I have no
Right,
idea.
right. You fall asleep, you wake up, I wonder where we are. It showed you right away where I was. Yeah.
Done that several times, fallen asleep and can't remember where I Yeah.
Well, how do you stay ahead of the curve, though? I mean, for your system and everything, because you've got to be up on everything before it's released to the public.
Exactly. I read a great deal of emails and a great deal of literature that comes along the line that shows me what the second curve is. So, like we were trying to do internet almost 20 years ago. We did voice over IP more than 10 years ago. So as a matter of fact, in 2003, Top of the World had voice over IP that we put in.
Oh.
So I try to keep ahead of the curve, but the problem is then you become you're way out. A pioneer is someone who has a lot of arrows in their butt. People shooting at them. So,
Wow.
So you don't want to get out
What a
there too
picture.
far
Uh-huh.
because the Indians will get so.
Wow.
So we're trying to keep it as earthy as we can. What's practical. There are a lot of things that work, but what's practical?
So there was a story in the news about this guy who had a bathroom door that had slats in it. It wasn't solid.
Okay.
And the problem was that the sound happening in the bathroom could be heard in the living room because it would go through the. And so he had guests over there, and so when he would use the bathroom, he would sing really, really loud so nobody could hear what he was doing. And he called it voice over IP.
Oh yeah, that would work. That would definitely work. Yeah. Or sing over IP. Yeah.
Will you be going to any more conferences this summer? Do they hold the conferences in the summer, or do they wait till the fall?
Most of them start between August and the end of the year. I am looking forward to going to Cannes, France. They have a program festival over there of different television stations from around the world that people like myself can gather. I'm going to Maria Del Rio, in California in December. I'm going to the cable TV convention.
You're a traveling
in
man.
October in New Orleans. I'm going in September to a cable convention in Texas. I'm trying to think of where it is, but anyway, somewhere in Texas.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, yeah, Fort Worth, Texas. I travel a great deal, and I just came back from the Digital Media Technology Convention in Tampa. And these things are just 2 and 3 days long. You're only there to get the information you need, and they have like 20 or 30 channels going on at all time, and depending on what you're interested in, that's a channel you would sign up for to get the education you want. And then all the vendors are there, so you see all the vendors for everything. So it's a very interesting, conventions are very interesting. And, the Southeastern Building Conference convention's coming up August in Orlando. So that's home builders.
Oh my gosh.
And it's open to the public.
Really?
You can sign up and go down there all day.
And what would you see?
Everything.
Faucets?
You'll see everything that goes into a home. Carpets, walls, it's had a different kind of insulated type wall. Artificial wood, looks just like wood, but it's really a high density plastic.
Oh my gosh.
Which means the colors throughout it. So if you were to have a tree limb hit on the side of your house, and the color stays, and it doesn't go down to bare wood where you have to paint it again.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
10
Wow.
times harder than wood.
Maybe that's what they're using on the hotel downtown. Maybe it's not wood.
Oh, well, I haven't seen it, so I can't tell. But the bottom line is, these conventions teach you a great deal. And you have to expand your horizon all the time.
So when you go, do you explore the town? In other words, when you have some downtime, do you get out and say,
I do.
find
I
a
do.
restaurant or
I used to
something?
not do that. I used to just go for the technology, turn around and come back. But, I learned a long time ago that it's about the journey, not about the destination. So when I go, I'll take back roads if I'm driving. Like I'm getting ready to go to Alabama Monday morning. I'll be gone Monday and Tuesday.
Oh.
Well, we plan to go over I-10. We need to get there. But coming back, we might take 98 back.
Do you go alone? Does your wife go with you?
I
or-
usually go alone, but this one, my underground contractor wants to go with me.
The underground contractor.
Yeah, so we're putting fiber to the home in Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Oh, wow.
my gosh.
So I had to go see the place.
And when it says shores, does that mean it's like right on the water?
Right on the water.
And you've got to do something different when you put
Yeah, you
the
can't dig
fiber
too
in?
deep when you're on the water.
Ready for the phone?
Yes.
All right. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim.
Yeah, good morning. Just wanted to remind people that the Silver Springs Radio Club Amateur Radio Field Day station will be set up in the field to the side of the St. George Anglican Church, just off Baseline Road in southeast Ocala. And we'll be operating from 2 in the afternoon tomorrow until 2 in the afternoon Sunday. And there's no charge. Come and look, and talk with the guys and see what it's about.
Is there any kind of certain goal you guys set for yourself when you do these? Like, is it more membership? Is it more training? Is it?
Well, it's gives the general public a look at it, and we hope we get some numbers out of it, and we tell you when the next license exam will be given, and whether we're going to have a license class. We need at least 6 people that are interested in taking the class to justify the class, but
yes.
And the only charge is for the books.
Yes.
So that's
all right.
That's the way it is.
So while you're there, do you try to speak to people in different countries while you're there, so people can see how easy it is?
Oh yeah. The idea is to contact as many people as you can using the emergency power.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate the.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, hopefully we'll send some people out there. It is something I'm interested in that too, but when do I have time for that? When I retire, Jim, then I will get a radio. That'll be my radio show. Be on shortwave.
I know we had.
You want to be a guest?
Well, there's different waves, as you know.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We had a neighbor that did that ham radio stuff, and we had to get a special thing for our TV because
Filter.
It would be, wavy and stuff. Is that obsolete now?
That was old time. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now that it's different now. Ingress is still a possibility where the type of cable you have in your house, or if you had an outside antenna, could get into the picture quality.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically gone many years by now. And most ham operators are right on frequency and right on power. They don't want to overmodulate. They don't want to do anything. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim.
Yeah, Jim, I had a question. I've got a computer that when it sleeps at night, I get up in the morning and I can't use my mouse to wake the screen up. And I don't know if you can help me with that or not. But once I power down the tower, wait 10 seconds and power it back up, then I can bring my screen up. Is there anything I can do to just automatically bring my screen awake?
So there'll be settings in your setting mode, whether it be power mode. A lot of people,
Okay.
I think you can right-click. It really depends what you're using, like Internet Explorer 7 or 10. So I could be off a little bit, but you can either go to settings in your control panel, or I think a lot of times you can right-click, and a lot of things you can hit like properties, and it will ask you what you want to do. You want screen brightness, what is it you want?
Yeah.
And then you can tell it. There'll be a section marked mouse, and you can tell it. So when my computer sleeps, the mouse go to sleep also. When computer sleeps, keep mouse on, or things like that. And then you just mark whatever one you want.
Okay.
But I'm not
I'll
a
check
very
it
good
then.
computer guy to ask. I'll be quite honest with you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Yeah, but
All right.
that's good direction that you've given him.
Yeah, they've made a lot of categories, which is more confusing than less confusing to me. It used to be you want the computer to sleep or not.
Right.
Now they, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 minutes. They give you so many choices, so many categories. It's like going into a bar. You see 30 types of beer, and I don't even
Yes.
drink. But if I drank, I would say, "What in the world?"
Too many choices.
A lot of
I want a beer. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim.
Good morning, Jim. This is Sonny again. On the installation of the cable, the one in your house, mine is through the walls and everything else to various outlets and TV room, living room, kitchen and another room we use for like a computer room. But does that cable deteriorate over time? I'll hang up and listen to your answer. Thank you.
Yeah, so the answer is basically coax does deteriorate over time, but not to the extent that you would notice, and because it's affected by heat. So let's assume it's in the attic. That coax cable is going to get dry and brittle and shrink, and that would change the impedance of the cable. The impedance is basically the resistance of it, and it's the difference between the outside foil and the inside center. And of course, if it shrinks, it gets closer together. So things change, but not where you would notice. Not where you would notice. It really depends on what kind of connectors you have on the cable that would keep interference out. So if you have the kind of connectors that were crimped on, either had a ring on the back that you had to squeeze or a shroud that you had to squeeze, that's the older technology, and you want to get rid of those connectors and put on what they call compression connectors, which is put on by a special tool, and that special tool doesn't necessarily compress the outside. It more or less has a internal sleeve that slides behind the coax and locks it in place. And that would eliminate ingress and egress signal from getting into the cable and signal from getting out. But other than that, the coax, no. There are older types of coaxes, which we call them 59, and today we're using what's called 6. And as you can tell, if that's a millimeter cable, it's such a small difference. But the technology has changed such that that small difference makes a great deal in how the signal is handled. So even at Ocala Palms, we have some homes that have 59 in them, and we're going to have to just go through and systematically put in 6. There's just no way we can send a new type of channels or signals down that cable effectively. Will it work? It'll work, but it won't work if we have to do more power to try and overcome that type of cable. And some people even put in some 8. Jim's for me with 8/8's like a 50 ohm cable as compared to a 75 ohm cable. And it was just made for different purposes, but they didn't know. They saw it was coax. They bought it. They put it in.
So does a cheaper coax break down quicker? I mean, or like does that become the weak link? Like maybe the TV is looking like a bad picture, and the real problem is the cheap coax that you put in.
Well, yeah, but that would be years ago when you had the cheaper coax that usually had a center conductor that was clear as compared to the center conductor today, which is a foam, a white polyurethane type foam. It keeps its distance better than the polyurethane, which was the clear. And the clear was also a smaller type cable, more like a 59 as compared to a 6. But in general, it's usually not the wire itself, unless it was put in badly. So if you're pulling cable in, you want to use 25 pounds of pressure, and that's a very little pressure. So a lot of times they'll pull it over the rafters, and they'll have the spool on the ground. The wire goes up over the rafters, and then they're pulling it from one location to the other during the installation. As they pull it over the rafter is a right angle. It's a piece of 2x4. What it does, it flattens one side of the cable. So now the cable is no longer round. Now it's flat on one side. That definitely, that's terrible.
Well, as always, thank you so much for what you do and help us understand things. Just a fun segment for me, so thank you for doing
Other than the ham thing this weekend, what's going on?
Oh gosh, what else is going on? There's you have to ask me. Oh, maybe I still have it up on the screen.
Yeah, there's a concert at the Florida Horse Park.
There you go, a concert at the Florida
Horse Park. Live in concert.
Comic-Con over at the Hilton.
Yeah,
that's right.
If you want to dress up like Superman.
I don't think that's
there's the Burn Your Half Off Florida Awesome Sauce event tomorrow. Not so sure what that is.
Burn your what off?
Your awesomeness? No. burn your half off.
Oh, half.
And we've got the Levitt Amp series that's continuing tonight. The headliner is Canon, and the opening act is Dirage, and they're going to have nonprofit booths with craft items, food trucks, novelty food vendors. This is really, really nice. nice. This is going to be on West Highway 40 at Webb Field at the Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation
Sounds
Complex.
like an under 40 crowd.
Starts
to
at
me.
6 p.m.
'Cause I don't know any of those groups. I can tell you that.
6 p.m. it starts tonight.
All right, tickets for the concert at Florida Horse Park.
Yes.
If you would like them, it's from 7 till 10 tomorrow. I have 2 tickets.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Do you want them?
No, thank you.
So somebody, if you're listening right now, Jim said no, which means you can say yes.
You can have those tickets.
They're worth $20 each. It's a concert
First
tomorrow
come,
night.
first serve.
I don't know anything about it other than it's Brandon Heath and special guest KJ52.
KJ52.
We got to give you
Is
a
that something
number.
like Area 51?
I don't know.
JG6 or something. We need to call you, I guess.
Oh, boy. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Jim. Enjoy the first weekend of summer.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. A jury has found a 34-year-old man from Silver Springs guilty